Good morning and welcome back to our journalism broadcast program. I'm one of your hosts, Christian Compton.
And I'm your co-host, Caitlin Sanderson.
And today we're going to be bringing you a very special feature segment on the changing of the semester, featuring a junior here at Lakewood, Lauren Bean.
Hey, Christian.
Hey Lauren, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And thanks so much for being here as usual.
Thank you.
And also another junior here at Lakewood, Kiara Williams.
Hello, Christian, Cayla.
How are you doing today, Kiara?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. And once again, thank you for being here. It's our pleasure to have you. First question I'm going to give to you, Lauren. Can you tell us a little bit about what are some of the difficulties of changing classes? Just specifically the classes, actually, the academic side of things.
I think in general, it's just the main thing is you're halfway through the year, you're getting really tired, you're getting stressed out, you're definitely ready for summer. I think the main thing is you just really don't need to be getting tired and lazy. You need to keep your grades up, and it's definitely detrimental that you do keep them up because, especially being a junior, going into your senior year, college is already starting to look at you. Those grades definitely just have to stay up.
Absolutely. And now what about you, Kiara? What do you think are some of the difficulties of changing classes?
Well, I think knowing the teacher, getting to know the teacher, getting your syllabus signed, just having class with one friend, so it would feel like the class would go by a little bit faster.
Right. Yeah, I think we can all agree that classes start off, the class at the beginning of the semester is a completely different class than what you end the semester with, so for a lot of classes. So.
Now, Lauren, as a student athlete, how do you think the change of the semester affects you specifically?
Well, in the beginning of the year, in first semester, I was running cross country, and for the first half, I was in my sport, which it was very hard to keep up with grades, especially coming back from cross country meets late at night. But throughout the second part, it was much easier because I could just focus on my grades, and I was not very stressed out at all. Going into the second semester, I'm playing softball now, so I have to go back into the stressful life of being a student athlete. And the main thing is just realizing that your grades do become like a way bigger part than your sport is. So the main thing is just keeping your grades up versus going out to your sport.
Right. Now, Kiara, as a junior in general, what is the changing of the semester is specific to juniors for a lot of reasons. In the spring we have the ACT that all juniors have to take. I'm not sure about the work keys, but last year it was like that. Can you tell me a little bit about the stresses of preparing for those specific tests?
Well, I think it's definitely a big deal being that you're a junior and next school year you're going to be a senior, so you're definitely going to want to get the ACT and SAT out the way so you can just apply for colleges and get accepted and get all that out the way.
Right. Okay, and while we're on the subject about tests, let's talk a little bit about exams because that's probably the most dreaded part about being at the end of the semester. Kids are frantically trying to figure out if they're going to exempt or not. And some exams you can't exempt, which are EOCs, and Lauren, my understanding is you had to take an EOC.
Yeah, that was history.
Right. Could you tell us a little bit about what the EOC is like, or just EOCs in general for that matter?
Well, honestly, EOCs in general really aren't that hard if you pay attention in the class. The history one to me was actually kind of hard because history is not exactly my favorite subject.
Right.
But I did end up getting a decent grade on it. As long as you study for them, it's really not that hard.
Now, what advice would you give? Let's say, there's a lot of underclassmen here at Lakewood and they're changing the semester too, just like everybody else. Could you, as a junior, maybe give them a little bit of advice about how to start off their semester right, what they should do to prepare if they want to exempt the next semester's exam, so they want to start early with that?
Definitely. The main thing is that you need to keep your grades up because once your grade's down first semester, it's very, very, very hard to pull it back up. So, like I said before, I'll just reiterate, you don't need to be getting lazy or tired. You just have to keep them up, or it is.
Right. Absolutely. Now, Kiara, what about you? You want to give any advice to underclassmen?
I agree with Lauren. Don't get lazy. Put your best foot forward and keep your grades up. Stay on time. Turn all your assignments in on time, and just be on top of your grades. Because if you're not, then who else will?
Absolutely. Oh, I'm sorry. So now, one thing a lot of people don't know actually, the grade that ultimately determines whether or not you're going to exempt your exam is your semester average. So you can start off quarter one if you finish the class with a 63 or something. Then in this case it'd be quarter three actually. It doesn't matter if you make a 100 in quarter four, it's not going to be enough to exempt your exam. So do be wary of that. Now let's talk a little bit about a lighter topic, of course, the changing of lunches, okay, instead of something that's not so serious like testing or anything like that. every semester, most kids change lunches. You know, some have the fortune of having the same lunch, or if you don't like your lunch, have the misfortune of having to keep the same lunch. But Kiara, can you tell us a little bit about what changing lunches is like for you
Well,
specifically?
I'm like that fortunate 1% to have the same lunch as first semester. So, but it is a difference because I'm going from being on the 3,000 hall to the 1,000 hall. So it's a little longer walk, but still having the same lunch is pretty good.
Yeah, and we all know how long those lines can be.
Yes.
So, what about you, Lauren, for lunches?
I actually think I'm going to be going from B lunch to C lunch, so I'm going to have to get used to going at the right bell, because I remember as a sophomore I would get up at the wrong bell, like going into second semester, because I would automatically think that I was going to A lunch.
Right, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Speaking of a lighter topic, prom is coming up in the next few months. And as we all know, the theme this year is Dream Sequence. Lauren, how do you feel about the theme?
It was actually one that I was personally rooting for. I think it's very classy, very conservative. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think it's going to look really good.
And Kiera, what do you think about it?
I love the sequence, even though I don't know if I'm going or not, but the sequence is perfect. I mean, to girls, I think it means much more to them than it does to the boys. So all they have to do is wear a tux.
Lauren, are you thinking about going to prom this year?
Definitely. I've actually been planning for it since I got into high school. So.
And what are some of your planning preparations for this year's prom?
Well, one thing I've been doing a lot is getting on Pinterest, looking at dresses. Since they're much cheaper than going to a boutique, and it's also like a bunch of different websites combined into one. So I've definitely been getting on there looking at makeup and shoes and dresses and prom pictures too.
Right. And Kiera, I know you said you're still thinking about going to prom, but have you been doing any planning?
Yes, Lauren actually was the one to, push me to look on Pinterest for a dress. I wasn't really thinking about it until when I seen her on, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, that dress is perfect for prom. I wonder if I was going.
Do you guys have anything else you want to add about the changing of the semester before we go ahead and close this segment?
Like I always say, stay focused with your grades and, don't get discouraged about anything. Just put your best foot forward.
And Lauren, anything from you?
Just don't get tired. Got to keep those grades up.
Absolutely. And thank you guys so much for tuning into our journalism broadcast program. I want to especially thank our guest, Lauren Bean. Thank you for being here again, Lauren.
Thank you.
And Kiera Williams, thank you so much for being here, Kiera.
It's my pleasure.
You guys both gave wonderful responses. You were wonderful guests. We hope everybody has a fairly simple time adjusting to the new semester. Now, we do have an email address if you want to send any sort of suggestions to our program. It will be lakewoodbroadcastprogram@gmail.com. So once again, that's lakewoodbroadcastprogram@gmail.com. And there will be a slide at the end of this segment which will have that written down for you to write down. We welcome any feedback that you want to offer, or if you'd like to be a guest on our show, you can submit your name for consideration. So once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm one of your hosts, Christian Compton.
And I'm your co-host, Caitlin Sanderson.
And we hope everyone has a wonderful day.